Hello there, and thank you for joining me. I'm Doris Venter of Library Arts, and I'm here to talk to you today about our Pablo Picasso themed bull drawing. It's a wonderful drawing that reflects his Cubist influence. We're going to work with a warm and a cool color palette. We're going to draw in pencil, and then you can add color using what I've used, oil pastels and some blending techniques I'll show you. You may also use color pencil, crayon, or a marker, your choice. So why don't we go ahead and get started on this beautiful project. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and get started on our bowl. You're going to need a sheet of 8.5 by 11 regular copy paper. If you have a heavier weight paper like a sketchbook paper or something of a watercolor paper, you may totally use that. I just want to keep it simple for everybody, so I just have regular copy paper here, and I have it in my landscape orientation or horizontal. That's what we're going to use for this. Now, I have already created a bowl drawing right underneath here that is basically in the style of Picasso's bowl. So I'm going to use that as a guide for doing our outline, and then I'll show you the possibilities for when we break up the animal and the background for our color study. So let's go ahead and get started with our drawing. I'm going to use marker. I suggest you use pencil, and when you're done, if you want to go over it with marker, that's fine. If you're using oil pastels, you may want to just go over the lines with a black oil pastel after we have colored it in, not before. But if you're using color pencil, I would do the marker first, then add the color pencil. Okay, so let's start. The bull's going to take up most of the picture here. The first thing we're going to do is start with the top, which is going to be the back of the bowl. It's going to be right near the top of your paper. And we're going to start near the corner here. And we're going to just take and make a big arch. It's like a big dip in the bull's back. And bulls often have this kind of big arching bone up here. So we're going to take that line that we just made and we're going to take it down like we're going down a hill and stop. Now we're going to return to the back end of the bowl, work our way around, and then we're going to add the head. Okay, so we have the back, that sort of arched bone area. Now we're going to make a short diagonal. That's going to be the beginning of the tail. We're going to curve a line into the bull's body to make one half of the tail. So we're going to start with a curve. We're going to come in here and stop. Now I want you to come over here about 1/4 inch away and just echo that same curve you just made and stop. Now on the end, you're just going to add a bull's tail, sort of like a leaf shape. And then we're going to continue down the back side of the bull's leg, and we're going to start right up here, leaving a little space shape between the bull's leg and the tail. And that's actually a really lovely little shape there we just made with the space. So we're going to continue that line after we pass behind the tail here. And we're going to curve it down to a point, just a soft, gentle curve, and stop. I'm going to move my paper up so you can see. There's going to be about maybe about 1 inch to 3/4 inches available on the bottom here. That will be the ground area. So when we come down to the feet, it's not going to go all the way down to the bottom of the paper. We're going to now go down, come out a little, and down again. That's one length of one leg. Now we're going to go up to the bull's tail. We're going to do a wide curve, come in, and then gently stop there. So that's really one leg right there. Now we're going to add the hoof of the bull, have it go back, come up. There's often a little ledge there, and then just take a diagonal and connect it. So you now have one of the bull's legs. Now this is a male, So we're going to be adding some details here, and that portion of the bowl will overlap the next leg, which is going to come out not touching the top here, but it's going to come over here and down, so just a little dip and a longer dip. And then coming out over here, we're going to come out in, just like the little ledge we did there, and down. So this again is going to form the other hoof, and then we'll add a diagonal there. Now you can always stop the film and say, let me catch up, let me catch up. We're going to put this portion of the bowl right here. We're going to come over, finish a wide belly. Look how thick and massive the bowl is here. We're going to come down with the front facing leg here. We're going to back up just a little bit so we can add this front facing leg. Come down, in, same thing, and down. And then we're going to come over here with a bump, come down, and then again, here comes the hoof. All right. Now, we're going to add the second leg, and we're just going to start it right here. It's going to come down in a similar way. We'll have that little ledge and come down to make that hoof. Now, we'll just leave that leg there. We're going to come around to the other side, make the other part of that leg. It's going to be somewhat wide, so we're going to come here, make a bump, come down, add that hoof with a little arch, come back, and diagonal down. So there's the second leg. Now, just like the bump up here, there's sort of a hanging bump below the head here. So we're going to come over first, dip down, and come up. Now we have just enough space for the head. So let's focus on the head now. The head is sort of a egg shape. We're going to start right here by coming down with a curve. We're going to add a large ear like that with like kind of a leaf shape in there. We're going to come down again to that line, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to come out like that. Now there's another ear that comes into the picture here, but it's a little bit different. It's more like a leaf shape and a little bit different from that bigger shape over there. And it also has that kind of lined shape in there. Now let's just continue the head up a little bit. And then out of this side comes the bull's horn. One. And before we finish the head, we're going to draw another horn. So we're going to put a curve here. And we're going to basically echo that horn by going up to a point, curving around and down. Now we can finish the bull's head. So that's the basic shape of our bowl. We're just going to add the eyes and a couple details here, but we're going to leave the details of the lines dividing up the bull's face and the background for when we start adding color. So we're going to put one eye right here and the other eye very nearby, but a little smaller. We're going to add some nostril kind of muzzly shape here. Looks sort of like two wings coming out, coming around, and with two little nostrils. And then we're going to put a straight line here for the mouth. So that's basically your bowl shape. Now I'm going to move it up a little bit higher. So what we're going to do now is just add a ground line that goes a little higher than the legs, like so. And that is your basic drawing. So if you're gonna do color pencil, go ahead and go over this with a black Sharpie or a black marker. If you're gonna do oil pastel, you can leave it in pencil, make any corrections that you want, or finish your drawing, and then use pencil to show the divisions in the bowl. Then we will add color shortly. So I'll see you in the next film in just a moment. Okay, welcome back. And now we're going to get into creating the lines that break up the bowl's form. Now you don't have to do it exactly the way I do it. You may want to break it up different ways. I'm going to start with the face, move into the body, and then I'm going to randomly break up the spaces in the background, okay? So I'm going to start with a line going straight down between the eyes to the muzzle. And that's sort of a very typical, splitting the face thing to do that Picasso would do. We're going to add a V shape. So one V is going to come up to the ear here, and I'm going to take another V shape and it's going to go up to the ear, towards the ear I should say. Now this eye is going to have a shape that helps to define the jaw. So it kind of comes down like that to define the jaw. I have another eye shape that's a line, this is going to be a diagonal, it's going to come down here. And then I'm going to bring one more line from here, and that's going to connect to the other muzzle. So there you go, you have your ear here, the other ear here, the face is broken up into shapes. So now we're going to move to the inside of the bowl. So first we're going to start up here, and we're going to do a long diagonal heading towards the bowl's head. And then we're going to do another line coming out at a curve, and it's going to go in to the point where we stopped here. Now we're going to create another triangular shape over here. So we're going to pull this over here to the tail, and then we're going to come right back here. So a lot of the lines are connecting. They almost remind me of lines in an umbrella, quite frankly. We're going to come out here now with a curve, and we're going to go up near the tail and come back with a narrow shape there. We're going to continue this line through the tail, and it's going to go beyond the tail and come right down here. We will take another line and use it. Once we get this line here, we're going to make another. It's almost like doing a constellation here, quite frankly. We're going to go from this line, whoops, right here, short line with a diagonal. We're going to come over and stop. We're going to take this line right here, right down to that. And then right in here is like parachute, it's an umbrella, it's a spider web. So many things you can see in here, it's amazing. We're going to come over here, up here. And again, you can choose to do lines differently from me. You don't have to do it the way I'm doing it. I'm basically following some of the lines that Picasso did in his, but you don't have to follow that. So there's a lot of complex and more simplified shapes that come in here. And even mine is just so complex. I'm not getting everything that Picasso did. Okay. And I'm going to put straight line across. And there's even more, believe it or not. So we're going to come up here a little bit further. And we're going to go straight down. Again, it's not going to go through the tail, but it is going to go straight down through the leg. Then we're going to have another line that comes through here all the way down to the leg, and it creates a gentle Y up to that shape there. We're going to add a line emphasizing that bone right there. And we're going to add a line right here. That's a very complex division of form. And here we have a little bit more work to do in the leg itself. Here, there, and there. Okay, that's pretty much what we have for the bowl. Now, your job is to break up more randomly this time the background. So we're just going to put lines where we want, breaking up the space behind the bowl any way you like that you would find interesting. You're just going to be using that as a way to create shapes and space surrounding the bowl. And you can maybe create spaces in here, in here. Some places you already have shapes, so you may not need to do that. And I like the idea that the way he uses lines, tips, points within his picture to divide it up. So that's what I've done. So I've divided up my space. The next video, we're going to start talking about color. So get out your color pencils, your markers, or your oil pastels, whatever you're going to use, and we will move forward with the next steps. Okay, welcome back. So now we are ready to start to apply color. If you're working with the color pencils, I want you to select a range of colors that would be in the warm family. So I'm showing you a range of warm colors. And when we say warm colors, we're talking about colors that remind one of the sun, of heat, of warmth. So yellows, reds, oranges, pinks, browns, those are in the warm family. So if you look here with my oil pastels, I've actually put a golden yellow, a lighter yellow, a peach, an orange, a red. Those are my warm tones. Again, if you're working with color pencils, when you think about cool tones, you can think about greens, blues, purples. Those colors will be in the cool color family. So I have green, dark green, light blue, dark blue, some gray, and then white and black are just two other colors that we're going to use in different ways. We'll use the white to lighten and tint any colors we use, and the black for outlining. So if you look at my final here, I focus on using warm colors, with just the exception of maybe the horns being a little pale gray there, on the bowl. In the background, I focused on the cool tones. You'll see greens, blues, light purples, light greens, light blues, dark blues. So that's what I did, and I have a small range of colors going on inside the bowl. I'm going to do that again. It's a great study in warm versus cool, and why don't we go ahead and get started. So keeping in mind, again, my warm colors, I'm going to remove those from my box so I can keep them. I have an orange, a red, a beige, two yellows, and I'm going to keep my white for blending purposes, okay? And then I'm just going to start to color in individual shapes within my bowl. So I'm going to start with a nice bright pop of red here. And I think of a bull's fur is very warm in brown tones. So you can treat this like little puzzle pieces that you're going to color in. But then again, you can blend the colors, overlap the colors. Don't worry if you go into another color like I just did there, because you're going to be filling a lot of this in anyway. So here's some orange. I think I'll put some yellow in the bull's face in a minute. And you're going to go ahead, and again, don't worry about the black outlines, because if you're using oil pastel, you're going to go over those later with your black oil pastel. So we're going to stay away from the black for now. But I will occasionally use black in the body of the bull because I like the contrast of the black. So you'll notice that in the one I did earlier, I do have some black here in the ear, just for shapes, because I like the contrast against the warm tones. Okay, so you will see me doing that a bit. Not sure why I don't have a brown in here, but I don't. So I'm going to use that golden yellow now. Actually, not the golden yellow. This is the kind of a peachy yellow. I'm going to come in here, and I want to show you how you might say, well, I'd like to blend some yellow into that, or orange, I mean, right on top of it. And you can blend those two colors together, just like that, and get a nice effect. Then you're going to continue, and I want you to fill in the whole bull's face. In terms of the black, as I said, I do use black occasionally, like for the eyes. I used it for the nostril area here, the muzzle. I used it for an ear, and some of the random shapes within the bowl I also use black. So you can do that too. Now mine are not very pointy. If you want to sharpen yours, you know, it may be a little tricky. You can kind of use the edge of the crayon. And if your crayon gets dirty, I don't have a rag, but if you have a little soft rag, you can just wipe the tip and clean off any colors that smudge into your oil pastel. So keep that in mind. That's an easy way to clean it. Like I noticed there's some blue in this white. That doesn't bother me very much, because I'm going to put a little gray on top of the white for the horns. So for me, having a little blue in there is not going to put me off. But if it did, I could have just wiped the tip of the white crayon. So you go ahead, and I want you to fill in your whole bowl in the colors that you want to use. Then we're going to come back and talk about doing the background using a cool color palette. So I'll see you in a minute. How did you do? Were you able to fill in your bowl with a warm range of colors? This range is actually somewhat different from the one I did originally. So you'll notice I have, you know, bright reds, blacks, oranges. Here I have more beiges and grays in it, but I like it nonetheless. So now that we have this beautiful warm toned bowl, we're going to focus on getting away from the warm tones and into the cool tones. And I don't have any purple here, but I have blues and greens. So I'm going to use blues and greens, but that doesn't mean I might sneak in a little red to make a bluish reddish purple. So for instance, I could take this blue, fill it in here, right? And I'm just going to be careful to go around the bowl's contour here. And there's no reason why I can't then go over that blue. And notice I have paper underneath here, by the way, because oil pastels can be a bit messy. I had to wash my hands after I finished coloring in that bowl. So you may have to take a break to wash your hands too. So here's my beautiful blue. Now I'm going to sneak in some red to make it more like a purple tone. And that's just by putting some red on top of the blue. So I made sort of a reddish violet color. So don't be afraid to blend colors together, overlay them. You really can get some beautiful tones by doing that. So I'll probably do this somewhere else in the picture. And if for some reason I thought it was too dark, I could add some white. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna move on now to a lighter blue, I think, to add some contrast here. So I'm gonna get that lighter blue in there around the dark red violet I just created. And if I want to tint any colors, this is where again I can add white, and I can create a pale blue, a pale yellow, I'm sorry, pale green if I want, versus the dark green. So there's some light blue. And then down here I'll probably take a yellow green, which is already nice and bright, but I could make it an aqua blue if I wanted to put some maybe light blue on top of it. But I like the contrast of these light, bright colors next to that red violet, so I'm going to do that. Down here below the bull's hooves, I'm going to use the darker green, and I'll probably mix maybe a little yellow into it. So this is going to be the ground cover. So I'm just going to block it in relatively quickly. Remember, this paper underneath is going to capture any markings so that they don't go all over my desktop, which would be unfortunate. So I'm trying to work my best. You may even want to use gloves if you feel like this is just so messy, but it's not really, because it comes right off. And what I love about oil pastels is the one thing I already mentioned, the blending capabilities. But look, if I add a little yellow in there, I get a nice yellow green, which I really like. So I'm just blending that yellow on top of the green to change it from being such a grassy green to more of a yellow green. I really like that effect. So I'm going to finish up with the green going across the bottom. I'm going to add some yellow into it. You decide how you want to use the cool colors in your picture. So here's the green. Going to come in with the yellow, like this. And get up here a little bit. Look how nice that looks. I love that. And maybe I'll put a little more dark green on top of that. So I'm ready to continue with cool colors. So I'm going to go back to that regular blue, but this time I'm just going to use the regular blue. I'm not going to mix the red with it. But I could easily, if I said, oh, that looks too dark to me, I could tint it. In fact, why don't I try that with my light green here. I'm going to put the light green in, but then I'm going to apply a little bit of white on top, just to lighten it a little bit. So you get this nice pale green right there, which is really, really pretty. So I'm going to have you continue with your cool colors surrounding your bowl. Then we'll come back and talk about applying black outlines to really make everything pop. So I'll see you in a minute. Go ahead and finish your bowl and your background. Are you ready for the grand finish? Now look, my hands, again, they're dirty, but I think I can use this black oil pastel. So your goal is going to be basically to get in here and give a good crisp line wherever you see black marker. Now if you used color pencil, you might just want to go around and touch up anything that is looking a little pale because you colored over it, and that is fairly easy to do. So I'm going to just take my black crayon which is, you know, it's not super easy because this is not a nice sharp regular crayon like out of the Crayola box. You have to slowly go over each line, and there's a lot of lines to go over. So I'm going to try to do the hooves on these two legs plus all the shapes, but I guarantee you the black is just going to make everything pop. Then after you're done with that, if you have a really nice construction paper, doesn't have to be fancy, just to give it a little matte. Poster board works really great. I think on my other one I used a kind of a thin, not thick, poster board because the paper came in like, you know, 5 sheets to a pack, and that's why I can do several projects that way. So I'm going to do the inside of the bowl first because I feel like it's easier if I do that than if I try to do it after I've done the background shapes, because I am going to outline those too. So I want to get inside the bowl, and you can flip it over like this so you have a little bit more room to move your hand without smearing, especially if you have oil pastel. It can smear easily, so you have to work carefully. And I actually have a thin shape there, and here, and here, here, here. We're getting back to the head all of a sudden. Couple more lines to do in here, and then take a look. What did you miss? Oh, here, I could go up a little more here. Take a quick look around. Did I miss any lines here in the ear? I think I could do a better job there. And now I'm ready to start doing the lines that separate the shapes. So that reddish purple I did at the beginning. And this is a lot easier, as I said, to do this once you have finished the bowl's body. So I would definitely leave this for last, because then you're not smearing the shapes inside the bowl. And again, you can turn your paper like I'm doing to help. And there you go. You have this magnificent bowl picture. And if you see any like, oh, you know, I really need to touch up that little edge, or I need to touch up this little edge, you can go in there with your oil pastel and still touch up a few things here and there. Like here in the blue, I feel like I could do just a little bit more. And then if you have, as I said, pick out a few colors of paper, you can say, okay, let's see how it would look on a beautiful, cool background like that. Or maybe I want to do something brighter and make those yellows really, really pop. So that can look really good too. But you decide what works for you, what you think would look good for your bowl drawing. There's all kinds. Reds look good, oranges look good. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed creating this bowl drawing with me today. I know I enjoyed making another one. And if you haven't finished, go ahead and take your time, finish it up. So this is Doris Benter from Library Arts saying thank you again for joining me today. Stay creative, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.